Good afternoon. Firstly, I would like to extend my own warm welcome to the Chair, Governors, staff and fellow students. It's an absolute pleasure and honour to deliver this speech as Head of School and on behalf of my peers, but it's also a little bit of a surprise. As many of my friends and family might agree, public speaking has never been my forte in life. When I was very young, my parents were advised to give me specialist speech therapy, as I didn't talk very much, and when I did, it seemed to be complete gibberish. They thought there was genuinely something wrong with me, and many argue there still is. As a matter of fact, my sister and I had made up our own language, and often I didn't even need to talk. She would speak for me, being the bossy girl that she was, and indeed still is. This theme seems to have also run through my days at primary school and my early days at Wycliffe, and I still needed encouragement to speak aloud as late as year 10. This aside, I hope my speech today manages to reflect what Wycliffe means to me, and hopefully also my peers, because it truly is a special school. I'll start by looking at how I've changed through my time at Wycliffe. When I joined in year 9, after being at a microscopic primary school for the 10 years before, with a maximum of 12 people in a year, it was a massive shock to the system. I went from being a big fish in a small pond to an extremely small fish in a very big pond. And to say this about Wycliffe, when so many of my peers complain about the size of the pool we swim in here, really emphasises how daunted I was by this change in scenery. On my first few days here, I was light-heartedly taunted for having a vast selection of colouring pens in my pencil case. Incidentally, by those who are now, in fact, my best friends. A special shout-out here has to go to Julian Osborne. It was a crime to have a pencil case if you were a boy in year 9, yet alone a pink highlighter. So thanks, Rob. I'm sure most of my fellow year 13s will remember me as shy, quiet and reserved. And in hindsight, I really wish I'd got more involved in school life and tried to make friends more quickly. I didn't enjoy my first few years here as much as I should have because of this. However, I did pick up a nickname, which made me feel relatively popular, even if it was Babyface or Baby Ryder. But the scale of change I've experienced in sixth form especially, thanks to Wycliffe, has been extreme to say the least. Self-confidence, I believe, is the biggest benefit that I've gained through my time here. It was even one of the aspects of my character that Miss Burnett Ward said I needed to improve only last year. Never would I have thought, sitting as a 14-year-old right here a few years ago, that I would have the chance to emulate previous head of schools, of whom I was in such awe. It seemed even more unlikely, given that I had decided to move school at the end of year 11, only to be finally persuaded otherwise by the friends I had recently made and the prospect of playing in one of the best rugby teams the school has ever produced. Staying for sixth form was one of the most significant decisions I've made in my life so far, and by far the most beneficial. Just the other day, I was persuading a year 11 boy in Romson to stay for sixth form, passionately trying to tell him how different sixth form really is, how much more respect you gain from teachers, and most importantly, how much more fun you have. It really is a big change, and I think the classic cliché of the grass isn't always greener perfectly sums us up. But again, school is what you make of it. If you get involved, then you enjoy yourself, and this is what I've tried to do more and more in sixth form. However, year 13 has been a tough year for me. Being appointed head of school is one of the best things that could have happened to me. However, it's also been a hard year, especially with A-levels always taking up the majority of my time. I had so much to learn over the course of the year, and I'm by no means the finished article now. I've made a few mistakes, and I think I've learned from them and become better for it. It's better you make them now at Wycliffe, where people can help you, than in the future, where you might not have such helpful guidance. Failure, after all, is the key to success, as each mistake teaches us something, as well as those around us. As Sam Levinson rightly put it, you must learn from the mistakes of others. You can't possibly live long enough to make them all yourself. Some of my inspiration for this speech came from a train journey, and this story really got me thinking about what Wycliffe really means to me. On a crowded, rush-hour train, I squeezed onto a table surrounded by 3 quite intimidating guys. I have to say, wearing a posh shirt probably didn't help my situation. However, the lad opposite me, about 20 years old, started talking to me. Despite the 10 cans of Carling he had piled up next to him, it was one of the most enlightening and interesting talks I've ever had with a stranger. His first words to me were, "Public school?" To which I of course replied, a little tentatively, I have to admit, yes. We talked for an hour. He told me his life story, growing up in a rough part of Wolverhampton, and he asked me to tell him mine. And doing so made me feel slightly embarrassed about how privileged we all really are here. It also reminded me of the hostilities that regularly occur between the local kids in Stonehouse and Wycliffe students, which I've even experienced firsthand, although some 12-year-old kids wanting to touch your tie is hardly something to shout about. By the time he got off the train, he said to me, "You know, you're not all the bad things you're made out to be," which I'm telling you not because I'm trying to big myself up, but because I believe he described Wycliffe perfectly. We are not a typical public school. We are in fact at the other end of the spectrum. And this is why I've enjoyed my time at Wycliffe so much, and I'm sure is the reason why so many others in my year have too. You do not just find the stereotypical public school type here, who is set for Oxbridge from birth, or maybe that's my bitterness coming through as an Oxford reject. But instead, you find an amazing variety of people from a number of different backgrounds and countries. What makes it even better is that you find them all in a closely knit community where you know every face. I think that's what makes Wycliffe so special. I can walk around school and recognise everyone I walk past, which is amazing for a school of 420 pupils. The main message I want to get across to you all today is that Wycliffe has taught me, above all things, that it's not necessarily the outcome of your school life that determines whether it's been a success, but rather the journey as a whole. I think this is what Wycliffe really is all about. Of course, part of the reason parents send their children to private schools such as Wycliffe is so they can reach their full potential and hopefully go to a top university. Most students here also aim for the best they can. But in fact, it's not just all about the results and the destination. You are given so many opportunities here and given the chance to shape yourself and your persona to how you want to be. Everyone has the chance to take part in school life, such as Sports Day just last week, where so many students participated and gave it their all. Wycliffe is also not an average school. It's actually pretty wacky. I'm not sure how many of the parents were there, but the house song this year was one of the most surreal things I've seen in my school life. A couple of teachers started dancing to the infamous Gangnam Style song, only for the whole school to join them. How many other schools would do that? I'd now like to say a few thank yous to those who have had such significant impacts on both my time at Wycliffe and those of my peers. Firstly, Mrs. Burnett Ward. It's fair to say I wouldn't be half the person I am today without your faith in me by choosing me as head of school. I think it was definitely a risk for you. We had hardly spoken before the interview, and I was a bit of a dark horse. But you stood by me the whole way and really helped me improve over the course of the year. I cannot thank you enough. It's truly changed me forever, and it's been the best year of my life. Robinson House. Thank you to you all for making Robinson a truly special place that has made my time at Wycliffe so enjoyable. We might, unfairly in my opinion, have gained a reputation of a group of misbehaving lads over the years, but you've all got good hearts underneath your tough skins, and not many people notice that side of you. Please continue to keep Robinson the best house. To my best friends in Robinson, you know who you are, I hope. In the last few years, it's been great becoming so close to you, and you've always stepped by me no matter what, so thank you, boys. Mr. Mace, you have become a truly brilliant housemaster. Taking over from the legend that was Mr. Pavis was always going to be a tough task, but you stamped your own mark on Robinson and gained the respect you deserve from the boys. I certainly don't envy your position in having to control 60 rowdy teenage boys, but you've done a brilliant job. The only thing you perhaps now need to sort out is the singing in chapel, which I'm sure everyone will agree has at times been truly, truly awful, despite the wonderful volume you can produce. Mr. Kimber, rugby has been such a big part of my school life, and while my dodgy shoulder has meant I've only been able to play a handful of matches in the last couple of years, the rugby has still been the most enjoyable of my life. Thank you for giving up so much of your time and not abandoning us at several half-times when we were losing by 30 points. You have my and the boys' utmost respect, and your sense of humour has always made rugby sessions that much more entertaining. My teachers. In sixth form, I've actually enjoyed my subjects, and that has come down to you. Thank you to every teacher that has ever had the unfortunate task of teaching me. I would also like to thank every member of staff here on behalf of my whole year. You definitely don't get the credit you deserve. Personally, I think you should be paid as much as footballers, if that makes any difference. But when I was reading about ancient history for a university interview, I came across this quote from Alexander the Great, one of my idols, so I had to fit it in my speech somewhere. He rightly said, "I am indebted to my father for living, but to my teacher for living well." Mr. Hardacre, I think on behalf of everyone in Year 13, you deserve a massive thank you for all the hard work you've put in over the year. The sixth form socials were great fun, while the amount of time and effort you must have put in to dealing with all of our university applications must have nearly driven you insane. You also still managed to be an amazing economics teacher, and if there's one thing you've taught me, it's that there are three types of economists: those that can add and those that can't. The prefect team. Thank you for helping me, Anna and Kelvin throughout the year. You've been asked to do jobs that perhaps have made you curse under your breath at me, but you have all done your duties with smiles on your faces. A special thank you must also go to Anna and Kelvin, my deputies, who have both supported me so well this year. I truly couldn't have done it without you guys. To Joe Dunn and the new prefect team, you all fully deserve your positions, and it was apparently one of the most competitive years to choose from, so you should all be proud of yourselves. It was a pleasure working with you for the short amount of time that I did. Joe, I have all the faith in the world that you do a brilliant job as head of school. Just please try not to show me up too much. I could really thank so many more people who have had such a big part to play in my life and everyone in Year 13 as a whole. So apologies to those who have missed out, but otherwise we would honestly be here forever. To my fellow Year 13s in the audience today, this is only the beginning. Wycliffe has nothing more to teach us, nothing more to give us. Now we go our separate ways, and while the unknown future might be daunting, from talking to most of you, I think we're all now ready to leave. Good luck to you all, and thank you for all the memories. Greg Mason rightly said a couple of years ago in his speech, and there's no better way to put it: don't be sad because it's over, be glad because it happened. Finally, it would be great if you could all join the Leavers at the Leavers service later on, where we will also be showing a short goodbye video. Thank you.